So we have our second keynote speaker for the conference, Mr. Fathy Radwan. He's a General Counsel, Mowasalat, Karwa. So can we have a big round of applause and have him on board here?
Hello, everybody. Mowasalat Karwa, maybe you are aware, is the official transport company in state of Qatar. From my position there as the General Counsel to Mowasalat Karwa, I gained a bit experience that I'm trying to share it with you today related to the legal challenges and innovations in the transport field. This is our vision and mission. This is going to be the elements that I'm going to run the discussion during when. So to start, just to have a big question. Do you agree with me that each human being, they have the right to the movement or the transport? So why? Just give me one reason why we need to get the right as a human being in transport or movement. Does it something like luxury or something like necessity? We really need to move, or this is something that just secondaries? Why? Excellent. What else?
Staying home, I cannot, not everybody's offering work from home.
I remember COVID. Do you remember COVID when we stayed all at home?
Yes.
Most of us
A lot
were,
of us didn't like it.
right? It was even making us worrying more than the pandemic or the virus itself, correct? We couldn't bear that, right? Any other reasons why the transportation or the movement is important for the human being?
Connecting the geography and everybody from one part of the country to the other. Or
Excellent,
city or state.
excellent. Mr. Rowe, maybe he has something you want to add?
People are not moving, but you need transportation, right? We have to mobilize a lot of things.
During the COVID.
COVID also, not just the transportation for individuals, but you know how much other things you need to mobilize, be it the hospital-related ambulances, medicines. So transportation is the key, right? So even in the situations like
Excellent. That's a good to note. Even if we were restricted from movement, still we were in a real need to the transport process itself, right, for the ambulances and all of the things, correct? Okay. So, or maybe because this part of our nature as a human being, like the birds, they like to fly, like the fish, they like to swim. This part of our nature. That's why the human rights in Article 13 of the Universal Declaration of the Human Rights, they say that everyone had the right to the freedom of movement. So it's became part of our human rights. Consequently, most of the countries have committed for providing transportation services free to its people. So it's become a commitment from each countries across the world to provide these services or these rights to its people. But if you allow me, please, anyone have an idea what are the components of doing this or enjoying these rights other than our legs? Of course, we need our legs to move or to transport from point A to point C. What is the other components that we do need to make it happen? Excellent. What else? There is no wrong answers. All the answers are correct, by the way. If you want to move from this point to that point, what do we need? Yeah?
The vehicle itself, the
Excellent.
infrastructure to support the vehicle.
Amazing. Those are the two answers. The vehicle innovations, which you are going to speak about now, and the second element, as you rightly mentioned, the roads and infrastructure. Those are the two main elements that we do need in addition to our legs to move from place to the others. So let me walk you quickly through the first elements, which is the vehicle innovations. Yeah, a quick journey through of the vehicle innovations. Yeah, the horse-drawn vehicle. When the human being invented the wheel, we used to push it either by our hands or by the animals like horses. And we start to move the wheel by the power of the horses. After that, when the Industrial Revolution came, the human being succeeded in replacing the horses by the engine. And it has a totally different system, totally different fuel system. And the whole world start to look at the oil and gas and a lot of the other energy sources. At the human-driven vehicle, there was assistant to the driver, which used to be a human being as well. And recently, advanced driver assistance system came into our reality. So the driver start to eliminate the human being assistant and replace it by the technology. We could see like automated gearbox, automated cross control, all of these things. So we need only one person to drive each vehicle. And recently, the autonomous vehicles came. Today, it's not a science fiction, it's a reality. It's became a reality in all of us. Anyone here tried to ride the autonomous vehicle? You? No. Top anyone maybe dreaming in using this autonomous vehicle? We almost use it, by the way. The trains and the monorail and the autopilot, all of this almost, it's used the same technique, but it came before the road transport vehicle. But the question is, the next element, which is the roads and infrastructure. This used to be the old roads, correct? Today, it's become like that. We have seen that in most of the worldwide countries, in the United States, in UAE, in Qatar, even in Malaysia, there is a few of them, digital roads. Without this, the autonomous vehicles or the smart vehicles will not be able to run. Because it has the ability to read the vehicle and vice versa. They speak to each other through the connection or network. All the traffic signal, anyone remember that? When we used to see the police officers organizing the way and the signals and maybe registering violations and get the person just from their own mind, sometimes it used to happen. This also stopped to happen in most of the advanced countries. And this is gonna be the future signals. It has a CCTV, it has the smart light, it has all of the things that you can see that can help the autonomous vehicles from all the different levels to drive alone. We will speak about that later. Even the old energy stations, this became old fashioned. In the near future, we'll stop seeing this type of the old energy stations. I've seen it here even in the Times Square charger, the electric one, like that one. Welcome to the sustainable energy stations. We are gonna use this and we are gonna, I have seen it and maybe most of you, anyone here have seen that one? The new stations for the electric vehicles. Some of them relying on the wind or the solar panel. It's a totally sustainable sources of energizing our vehicle in a peaceful manner that will not impact our life by the emission of the CO2 and all of these things, giving the climate change requirements that we will speak about it now later. So now, let me please just give you a brief about the autonomous vehicles level. There is a 6th level for the autonomy. The first level, which is the 0, there is no any autonomy in the vehicle. In this case, the driver needs to do everything. Next is level 1. Level 1 means that the vehicle can do only one automated services. It cannot do 2. Level 3 or level 2, the vehicle can do 2 automated services, either brake or steering or both of them, whatever. Level 3, sorry, yeah. Level 3, the case can handle a dynamic driving tasks, but might still need intervention from the human being. You cannot rely on that. Most of our 2 days vehicle are considered level 3. But 4, this is what we could really consider it official driverless vehicles. And level 5, sorry, these cars can operate it 100% without a driver. It's not existing in the whole world as of today, but just as a test. In these cases, you need a significant infrastructure, smart roads, not less than 50% of automated vehicles on the roads in order to be able to operate it. From those 6 levels, we can simply understand that the key feature in identifying the autonomy level of the vehicle is the car ability to drive itself alone without a human being intervention. For example, depend on the lateral steering and the longitudinal acceleration and braking movement of the vehicle. One more thing, there will be a legal implication, which is going to be the second part of our 2 days discussion. And so we can define it that the automated vehicles or the autonomous vehicles is a collection of a system to minimize or completely eliminate the role of the human being in driving the vehicle. Internationally, 20 years back, the legislator was never imagined that there will be a time where the vehicle will drive itself. It's never came into anybody's mind, correct? That's why you will not, in most of the international conventions or domestic laws, the laws and the legislations domestically or globally were designed based on that understanding. We can see the word driver has been repeated more than 130 or 196 times in those international treaties. There is 2 international treaties that are governing anything related to the road requirement. One is Geneva 1949, and the second is Vienna 1968. The first one required that, or mandating that any vehicle, in order to be able to run it on the road, it should be driven by a driver. And this driver need to take the control all the times over the vehicle. So it's mandated by law. And the other convention, the Vienna one, it builds on the Geneva one. You will see now why some countries, even if they have the technology and if they have the infrastructure, still they are not able to operate the autonomous vehicle. Why? Because there is, in those 2 conventions, the first one is still, it did not allow the autonomous vehicle. That's why all the signatory countries cannot update their domestic laws based on the principle of gradualism. You know that the lower law need to respect the upper one. So if the international treaty is not allowing such use of such technology, so the countries cannot consequently adopt this feature into their own domestic laws. But and the good thing is that Vienna Convention in 1968, it has been amended and effective from 18th, if I'm not mistaken, July 2021, it's allowed the autonomous vehicle to be on the road. From that date, we have seen most of the countries that they are ready with the technology and the infrastructure, they have amended their own laws, such as United States, such as Germany, they are doing a great job in that one, such as China, of course, South Korea, we will see it now. So, From your own mind, anyone can tell me what would be the legal challenges in operating the autonomous vehicle? There is a couple. Mr. Roho already have mentioned some of them in the IPs and the cybersecurity, because those vehicles, as you rightly mentioned, without the AI, you cannot imagine that any industry would survive, correct? So anyone can share with us from his own experience, what would be the legal risks or the legal challenges that we might face or we need to deal with in order to make it happen, the autonomous vehicle, please.
You just mentioned in the previous slide that there's 2 international conventions, and both of them, they have the word driver. So one of the legal challenges is, well, what happens if there's no driver? What happens in that scenario? So I would say that's one of the main challenges.
Excellent. That's actually, this is the first point. I don't know, maybe you can share the presentation or what? This is the first challenge, driver license and behavior. All the current legislations required us to have a driver in order to put the vehicle on the road. Without that, we cannot run it. Anyone would like to add something? Please.
Yes, please. Few years ago, witnessed autonomous car crash, killing a pedestrian in USA, and a lawsuit was filed, but unfortunately that was settled outside the courtroom, so we couldn't get any court decision about liability of autonomous car crash. But my question is to you is, how would you ascertain the liability of autonomous car crash?
Thank you for that. Actually, your question implied the answer for the second point, which is the product liability. We'll speak about this later. The product liability. This is the second legal challenge, as you rightly mentioned. We will speak about it in detail now. Please, anything else? Okay. One more thing is that we need to deal with in order to make it happen is the vehicle standards. We will need to change the vehicle standard. Maybe you will need a new codifications to the standard. You can tell us more about that even as a vehicle manufacturer. Additionally, the insurance. In the past, we used to have a driver and recourse and a claim against him because the driver used to hold the whole responsibility. To whom we are going to recourse now, and what are the insurance companies are going to do in order to tackle the things. Also, the IP and data protection. This is a very important thing. In my opinion, this constitutes like 50 to 70% of the legal challenge that we need to deal with. For example, I have a real story, I can share it with you. In Qatar, during the FIFA World Cup, Qatar 2022, I got the privilege to be the general counsel for the official carrier of the tournament, which is Mowasalat, Karwa. We mobilized more than 7.5 million passengers during the tournament through more than 4,000 buses, which is the largest electric fleet in the world, with our alliance in the Chinese, the manufacturer, and our own plant as well in the GCC. We have developed that. So you know that the standard is almost the Europe one, which is okay with the temperature, but if anyone here went to the GCC, he can tell us about the temperature and how the weather doing there. So there was a risk in the batteries. The batteries constituting like 70% of the cost and the component of the vehicle, the electric vehicle. How we are gonna cope with the temperature, the high temperature? Sometimes it hits 49 or 50. Those batteries, they need a cooling system, but the cooling system will not work unless the vehicle is turned on. So we have developed for the first time ever a new pattern that allow the car to automatically turn on to allow the cooling system to work and to calm down the battery, then the vehicle will switch off. And this has been registered jointly under the name of China and Qatar. This is new thing that lead a change in the standard, that leads a change in the IP and the protection. What if any other one copy it and this without even licensing or all of this, as Mr. Rowe tell us. This also considered a very important legal challenge that we need to deal with. Finally, the cybersecurity. In the future, if you want to buy a car, do you really need to focus on the engine strength or the structure or the color or all of these things or the speed? No, the criteria for choosing your vehicle will be totally changed as well. I will focus on the cybersecurity, to what extent this vehicle will be able to defend itself against any attack or hackers. So we will not focus on the normal or traditional vehicles standard. Instead, we are going to focus on, okay, tell me, how about the antiviruses that been installed? How about the program? It's iOS or Android, whatever, same like the mobiles. Okay. This provides a general overview of the countries that have successfully started to put the autonomous vehicle on the road after the international treaties allowed them to do that. Add to that, the UAE, they consider the first Arab country that enact or promulgating a law for the autonomous vehicle. And Qatar as well. We have successfully tried the autonomous vehicle. It's not a science fiction. I've tried that myself. And last month, we have announced successful trial of the autonomous vehicle, and it's going to be part of our fleet in the next couple of months. Yes, okay, please. The first one. Yeah. Maybe this is the case that you have mentioned about now. There is a lot of cases in the world about that. This one was in Arizona, and still ongoing, that case. As you can see, it is an autonomous vehicle with a 380-degree camera, and there is the injury here, severe injury to one of the human being, and crash with the other one. So who is responsible in that? Who is the driver now? The one who instructed the vehicle to work, or the passengers himself that made the order through the ride-hailing app? And the product liability, as you can see, it's a vary. It has a different and multiple resources. It could be because of the hackers. It could be because of the manufacturer. It could be because of the OEM, the original equipment manufacturer. So there is no one size fits all positions here. You need to dig and investigate case to case in order to understand what are the product liability, as Rolitni mentioned. It depends on the cause of the accident. It depends on, it could be even away from the vehicle itself. It could be because of something went wrong in the road or in the infrastructure or in the network. In this accident that I showed for you last time, it was because of the system itself. The vehicle standard, by the way, this is the world's largest electric depot in Qatar. It's in Guinness records, by the way. The standard, as was discussed, need to be changed. The insurance, of course, it need to be changed. The IP, the batteries, as I explained to you now, and the patent protection, it's quite important. And the data protection, are we gonna apply the GDPR, or do we need some changes? In UK, they announced that our domestic laws are capable enough to deal with these new technologies. Still, they will need some petty changes in the private laws. Yeah, the cybersecurity, engine versus cybersecurity. If you want to buy an autonomous vehicle, are you going to look at the engine or the speed or the gearbox or just the cybersecurity requirement? In the accident that I had presented to you now, it's happened because, as I explained the system, but what happened? Some hackers, they hack the system and open the doors of the vehicle and derail it from the way to the other. So I could buy a car with a 5,000 cc, but its system is very weak. So this is not gonna be the most priority that we are gonna focus on. Okay, this is the last. The benefits. What are the benefits of the autonomous vehicles? There is no wrong answers. What are the benefits of the autonomous vehicles?
Comfort,
Yes, please.
progressive technology, comfort, luxury, innovation, of course.
Excellent.
And most importantly, when you are, I think every product, once it's developed, that's when you start having the legal framework for that and coming in place. So that I think will really help, because if this is where we are, and if we have SpaceX saying that it's going to take everyone to outer space, this is, forming a legal framework for ways ahead, and this will give them a ground path for moving, taking the technology ahead as well.
For everybody.
For everybody,
Yes,
for
thank
everything, for everybody.
That's correct. Yes, doctor?
I was actually going to mirror what she said as well, but I just want to add that in the long term, there will be less human mistakes. Maybe now there will be a lot of mistakes because it's a new thing, but I think in the long term, let's say from 10 years, there will be less car accidents, there will be less people dying. It will be good for the government as well because they will know the data, etc. So I think it has a lot of benefits.
That's fantastic. And from that, let me start another question. In your opinion, what is the percentage of the accident that occur due to the human being factor? Just give me an estimation. The accidents, let us say that I have 100 accidents per year. What is the percentage of the accident that occurred or happened due to human error versus the vehicles or the road? Just an estimation.
I would say it's a very high percentage. I would say 90%.
Excellent. This what was the U.S. Transport Department revealed in a study, and this actually the first benefits. Both of you are correct. Safety. In a study prepared by the United States Department in the National Highway Administration, it showed that 96% of the accident occurred due to the human error. Imagine. And the rest of 4%, it's because of either the vehicle or the road or any other elements beyond the vehicle. So we as a human being, we are the main cause of those accidents. Not only that, for saving the health cost for the government, the Roadman Family Foundation in the United States of America, they found that 19 billion are going to be saved because of the missed opportunities in the medical health had we innovated these things. Not only that, 1.3 trillion can be provided and saved from the fuel and the emission and all of these things, as we will see now. So the second benefit is the environmental. We are going to save our wallet from the emission and the climate change and the global warming and all of this, because as I explained in the beginning, there will be a new energy stations based on the sustainable manner rather than just oil and gas. Also, less congestion, the traffic jam. This also going to be impacted. A study showed that when the autonomous vehicle reach 40 to 50%, is gonna significantly reduce the traffic jam or the congestion. Why? Because of some technology, we call it plotting. What is the plotting? It's something that the car will know when it will stop, when it will start. Efficiency, because this car, it can even forecast and see for 100 kilometers, unlike the human being. If I know that there will be a traffic jam in this area or this zone, why should I go now? I will wait until it. So there is a technology that helps this vehicle, but this will not happen unless the autonomous vehicle reach at least 40% or 50% of the vehicles on the road. One more benefit could be the creation of time. A study in London showed that the workers consume like 2 hours per day in traveling to time going and back. So imagine had we saved those costs or those time, it's gonna, of course, it has a knock impact on the economy. So 2 hours per each workers cross or by the all workers, it's not a small amount of time. Social inclusion as well. The disabled people and the aged, the elders and the young, also they will be able to use the transport. Currently, you cannot drive the vehicle unless you have a driver or a driver license, correct? If you have some mental issues, you will not be able to drive the vehicle. In the autonomous vehicle world, you will be allowed to do that. United Nations revealed that 10% of the human beings are disabled, which around 700 million people approximately are having some forms of the disabilities. Only 35% of those people are working, and the other 65, they fail to find a job because of non-founding the optimal transportation methods. So imagine if we allowed them to transport and to move from there, they will get one of their human rights, same like the others. So also it has some social inclusion and employing the disabled people. And this, as I mentioned, is going to help the global economy by $1.3 trillion had we investigate. I will end by that famous astrophysicist said, Neil Grace Tyson, in science, when human behavior enters the equation, things go nonlinear. That's why physics is easy and social is hard. So, because of that, imagine when we eliminate the human being factor from the transportation transaction, of course, it's going to be much easier. And we have seen that in the traffic. We have seen that in a lot of things, as Mr. Rao said, in the artificial intelligence in the sector, as the CEO said, that quickly and rapid change and a lot of advancement happen. So I do believe that without the human factor in this, is going to be much better. Add to that, in my company, for example, we have around 15,000 staff. 9,000 of them are drivers. Tell me about the cost that I'm going to save when I eliminate this part from my budget. It's a huge, and it's going to be reflected on you as a passengers. You will pay less. So to conclude, I can say that the birth of the new generation of the autonomous vehicle, level 4, level 5, it was not imagined at the time of preparing the current legislation. Therefore, each country needs to look and review into their own domestic laws and see whether they need to adapt or change or enter even some new legislative changes in their own legal system. Without that, they will not be able to put it on the road, even if they have the technology. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So can we have a big round of applause for Mr. Radwan joining in today for a wonderful session. So do we have any questions for him? Though we already have questions in between, so okay.
Hi, I think this was an excellent and informative piece of information. Thanks a lot for the session. I have a question with everyone talking so much about AI and ChatGPT. Do you really think it is good and possible to ever remove human intervention from the progress of technology, or from, you know, going completely autonomous? Do you think in a completely autonomous world, do you think it's possible that the machines will take over humans? Do you think it is good for the human race? Because you have, you know, it's a rat race. Everybody wants to survive. If you tell me that there's, I understand the cost reduces on a company and for the passengers when the jobs get lesser, but when things get autonomous, but what about the people who require jobs? I know there are industries which create more jobs, and there'll be more and more industries as we see today as against 10 years ago. But do you think, most importantly, human intervention can be removed and should be removed?
Thank you for that fantastic question. Actually, you read the most toughest question. You need an engineer or someone who's taking this to answer, but I will give you my own opinion. There is an article, and I've read it there maybe 10 years back. It speaks about the phenomenon of the bullshit jobs. If you want to respect our humanity, it's much recommended to eliminate the human being from doing the bullshit jobs. The thing that happened in a routine manner. We have seen this in our multiple activities in a daily basis. So I am in the opinion, if yes, we need to eliminate the human being if the job is bullshit. But for the things that need some intellectual or some human that will respect and upgrade our dignity, and for the safety of the human being, why not? I'm telling you, 96% of the accident occurred because of us. So actually, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna save the life of the millions of the people to let them live, and I'm gonna loop the other disabled people that they cannot get that right to move from place to the other. In such scenarios, yes, and we have experienced that in the automotive, in the rail. You have seen the number of the accidents totally drop down because of the AI. But again, this is not gonna be a fully replacement of the human being. We are the fuel of. I asked that question to Mr. Makram or Karam before we start that session. I told him, do you believe the same question? And we had the same conclusion. We are the fuel of the AI. AI without us, it cannot continue. But for the things like, for example, in the immigration now, you don't need the people to stamp. You can do it online. In the supermarket, the cashier, he can tell you, I have a 10-year experience. No, it's only 1 year, but you are duplicating. You can do it yourself. For those things, yes, lean to remove. But for the other thing that need our mind and intellectual, of course not. It will not be even possible.
Because you don't have a record study of, God forbid, any accidents caused by autonomous vehicles. If you ask me, I think with time, you've seen Tesla's recalled every car that it's had on the road for the last from the time I think it's been out. So to say that you don't have a comparative study right now between the human accidents and by those of the autonomous vehicles, but to say that they are going to save, that's a question that we might want to, that's a discussion that might have to wait for some more time.
Of course, for the statistics, I have it. You are right. I have it, but maybe I'm presenting from the laptop, not on mine, but I can share with you the presentation with all the references and the statistics. Yes, still there is an accident, but it's not to that level, 96%. It's segregated and
That's
divided.
Because, I'm sorry to interrupt you. That's because not everybody is using an autonomous car.
Excellent. But when everybody using that up to 40 to 50%, you will start to feel. Because it's going to be smart to smart. The infrastructure going to also significantly impact that. But as of today, we are at the testing stage. Still there is an accident. Still, like any new technology, at the beginning, you will see several accidents. But
Absolutely.
after that, when we get familiar with that, of course, it's going to be improved. But for the other jobs like lawyers and all of this, I don't like the AI, of course. No.
I think I'm going to stick to the human race than anybody else.
Okay, I just want to say very thank you very much. This was a very interesting presentation, very interactive, very engaging. I liked your slides about the benefits of the automated vehicles, such as the one with helping disabled people being able to drive. And then you going back to the laws about them having freedom. I think that was a very good point. I also agree with my colleague here, but I also think that it's too early to judge right now. This will happen like with time, so maybe in 20, 30, 40 years we'll have a more accurate study. But my question to you is actually more to do with the company that you work for. So you say that you work for Mowasalat. Can you please tell me more about their vision statement and how that fits with automated vehicles? And my second question is, I want to know the copyright law aspects of automated vehicles. I think the focus is more on patent, which makes sense, but if you just want to talk about copyright law a bit more.
Okay, thank you for that fantastic question. For our vision is, as I said in the beginning, building community through agile transport solution. This is part of our vision, is to build and to connect the community with each other. Yes, we're in the state of Qatar, not globally, but we need agile solutions. And yes, I do agree with you that it's too early to put our judgment on that, but it's going to happen. Sooner or later, it's going to happen. Yes, maybe 10 years, 20 years, depend on the infrastructure and many other different elements. The autonomous vehicle will help us in connecting, as I said, the disabled people in our society, the aged and the elder people also. And within the educational universities now, we can use it. It's already working now. In the stadium, we used to use it in certain cases, a few. Also, this provides some privacy to the people that they don't like a driver with them in the vehicle. So it has a lot of reasons that can tell us that this an agile solution that meet our vision. The second question, please.
My second question was to do with corporate law, because
Corporate law.
Yeah, so I know there's a lot of patent involved, but if there is corporate law involved, which I'm sure there is, can you just talk a bit more about that?
Yeah, here it's not, in Qatar, it's not the corporate law as it is maybe the data privacy law in the year 2016 that govern all of these type of things and the pattern. This in the state of Qatar. And it in the whole, like 95%, it's almost the GDPR. Most of the Arab countries, they have migrated this GDPR principles and apply it with doing some change. It's not far away from what we have been familiarized ourselves with from maybe the first, or if not second, if not the first, data protection and patent laws.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank
Welcome.
Lovely presentation.
Thank you.
Very, very interesting.
Thank you very much.
Very relatable for me, as you can guess.
Of course, as a bus manufacturer or vehicle manufacturer, counselor,
Absolutely.
that's of course.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
So, just to add what you have said, and for the rest of the audience, the automation is a reality in the auto industry today. It already is. As car manufacturers, we are already working towards heavily, the demand of the market also is around connected cars, which is already launched almost everywhere in Europe, in US. Developed countries already have it. Developing countries is having it. We have some models launched in India already. Malaysia will see it next year when we launch our EVs, etc. Indonesia, Taiwan, you name it. What does a connected car mean? Sitting at home, I decide which car I want to get out of my garage today. I switch on the aircon, I make the ignition on, I decide which door of my car needs to open, and the rest remains on a child lock mode, and so on and so forth. So it's happening. One, for the convenience reason, luxury you may want to call it, the presence of road, I have arrived, or whatever you would want to say. Also the fact that automation in vehicles is something which is strongly being promoted by governments as well. It will be a reality soon, because from environmental standpoint, from zero carbon standpoint, from the fact that we need to conserve resources, all of these factors are strongly indicating that manufacturers of vehicles need to think in that direction. Whether we like it or we not, we will have to walk in that direction. It requires a big investment on the infrastructure standpoint. From magnetic roads, because the automated
Yes.
vehicles, they don't just travel haywire.
Yes.
Roads need to be providing for that.
Smart, yeah.
The signals have to read and talk to the cars in a
Yes.
format. So all of this will require, if not more, I think 10 years. It cannot take more than that, because it is a reality. It has to happen. There is a need, requirement, and a regulational infrastructure that is already being made ready for that. So to answer the question, well, whether it will completely eradicate human intervention, the answer is no. We still need human brain and labor to make those magnetic roads, that smart traffic signals and so on and so forth. But like I said, investment is required, time is required. From the legal framework, I think judiciary also needs to evolve. We will
Yes.
not be equipped to understand dynamics as we are today. Lot of laws will require amendment. A lot of judicial bodies will need to get matured in terms of understanding that law, implementing and executing it.
Correct.
We have a long way to go, but it will be sooner than we can think it turning into reality. So all for it. And for manufacturers like us, we will definitely add extra feather to our products. There is a competition to meet. But having said that, this will turn into reality soon. Our next generation, and we are very lucky, we will see this transition.
Yes,
So most of us will see this transition, and generations ahead of us, for them, ICE models, which is combustion engine, diesel cars, petrol, are going to be history. So they'll see that in your model chart thing from the past.
Hopefully that will happen even in DIGITALCONFEX next 10 or 20 years. But thank you for that fantastic comment, because you remind me of something which is very important, which is from manufacturer perspective. They have a worry. They want to do innovation, but they are worrying about the consequences. That's why the legislator, as a part of his intervention, they need to provide certain level of the protection, reasonable protection to the manufacturer in order to encourage them to innovate and to provide more technologies into that industry. It needs to be balanced. So I will protect you as a manufacturer, but on the same time, I need to protect the passengers as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Radwan, and can we have a big round of applause for him for a wonderful presentation? And I'm sure everyone is waiting for the networking tea break session that will be coming up shortly. So over to you, Ayush.
I request Mr. Fathy to be on stage for the group photograph, and I request Ms. Mithali to give certificate of recognition to Mr. Fathy. Please, guys, big rounds of applause for them.